I am so excited to interview John Cole. He is the Executive Director here at CHUM Ministries, and Salem has supported CHUM for many years. And so today, with our interview, we're going to just ask again a little bit of some of the ministries that they are involved in. And so hope that you will enjoy this interview. I want to encourage you to visit our website, salemcovenant.org. We will have a link to their website, and I know that there's many ministry opportunities that you can get involved in. And so maybe you want to take some time to pray and see if there's a way for you to volunteer with CHUM. God bless. Excited to be with you, John. This is John Cole, Executive Director at CHUM. And just fun to be with you guys and to hear a little bit about the ministry and all of the things that you guys are doing in the community. We're so grateful. John, so I know you're you're newer here. Share with us a little bit just your background.
I am originally from the Caribbean, having grown up in the island nation of Antigua and Barbuda, and working extensively throughout the region in ministry, youth ministry in particular, and then served in Minneapolis for 12 years in response to homelessness. I've been, from the time I hit the US, I've been involved in services addressing homelessness, and just moved to Duluth last year, June to be exact, and so have been on this job as Executive Director for just over 8 months now, and just having a wonderful time learning about Duluth and experiencing the width and depth of the weather and all its vagaries, and trying to understand lake effect and all of those things there, which is just new and just astonishing for me anyway, as we go. So it's been good.
You have some family in Minnesota?
I have my family, which all immigrated here over the years, and I was the last one to come from the Caribbean, and so they're mostly based in Minneapolis now. I have a sister in Georgia, but everybody else is close by.
So why Duluth, Minnesota?
Because of CHUM. CHUM has a great reputation throughout Minnesota, and when I learned of the opportunity to be a part of the amazing ministry that it did, I really was excited about that. I had not been involved in homeless service to persons who were actually living in shelter, and I liked that aspect of it, and also the width of services that CHUM offered, and that Duluth was close to water, which was kind of up my street, and so that's why I came.
Sometimes it feels like the ocean.
It does, minus the salt, indeed.
What's some of the biggest needs as you look at Duluth overall? I mean, in the different ministries that you guys are involved in, and we'll talk some about some of the ministries that you guys are doing. But when you look at the community, what's some of the needs that you see?
It's a beautiful community, but we do have some major crises here. The lack of affordable housing, and a homeless community which has grown significantly over the last few years. Matter of fact, by 37% over the last 15 years. And so those present a real challenge to the community to respond, and the impact of that spills over into neighborhoods, into the business sector, and the community at large, and so I think that's amidst the other problems of kind of what I see as really confronting Duluth right now.
What's the reason?
In terms of the housing stock, Duluth has not built sufficient capacity over the years. I think the estimate was by 2030 we should build 2,800 more additional affordable homes, and we're nowhere close to that rate of production. Being able to produce them fast enough or produce them efficiently enough so that they could be affordable to the folks proportionate to what they earn here. And so there's an income side to it, not earning enough to afford the housing. The fact that we have tertiary level institutions here, and that the student body needs somewhere to live, and so they have also really taken up some of the available housing there. So that then spills over to general community, meaning that there is a great need there. And homelessness, people are falling into homelessness because they've lived on the edge for quite a while, and are no longer able to sustain their livelihood. We have food deserts. We have growing levels of mental illness, and also chemical addiction, substance abuse, which had, I think, grown for a bit over the years, and so we need to catch up in terms of response to that.
Can you explain to us what's a food desert?
So we have neighborhoods that unfortunately don't have access to a grocery store or a corner store, and so persons have to travel great distances to access food, which is beyond what would be reasonably expected for a community. So if you have persons living in an area, it is expected that you should have in close proximity, walking distance, or short commute, to be able to get to the food source. And so when you have gas stations having to expand and bring in stuff that would normally be in a grocery store, or you don't have a food market, that is in effect what constitutes a food desert.
So obviously with all of the homelessness, there's layers of complexity surrounded. In terms of CHUM's vision, how do you guys speak to that, and what's the solution?
Well, we kind of focus on providing basic needs, being able to supply basic needs to everyone, kind of following the biblical mandate to look out for those who are oppressed or in need. And so providing basic needs, being able to organize and build for a just and compassionate community is kind of what governs our operations and how we go about engaging in ministry. And so basically shelter, food, and clothing. Those are kind of some main things that we would look at immediately, so that if we can find that for folks, then perhaps they can focus on the other things. And so that, by and large, simple things, but really governs the extent of what we do.
Well, let's talk a little bit about some of the ministries from day-to-day perspective. So probably the biggest is the food shelf and an aspect of that. Tell us a little bit about some of the day-to-day operations.
We're very fortunate to have a food shelf that has been instrumental in responding to the needs of our families and individuals across all of Duluth. We distribute over 40,000 pounds of food every month, serving over 5,000 individuals. There is a lot of need in Duluth, and we benefit from the contributions of concerned congregations and citizens, including yours, of course, who would organize drives and give food to us. We also receive food from the supermarkets and the major stores here, and also we purchase food. So when we receive cash donations, we're able to turn that around and actually get 7 times more than what an ordinary individual would do. So our dollar stretches much further for us. And so we receive food, and in turn we distribute that with at least food distribution for the area here around where we're located in downtown Duluth. Twice a week, folks come to the shelter on foot, or they drive through, and they're able to collect food packages. And then we also have a CHUM to go service, which is our bus which takes folks out, takes the food out to those food deserts that I mentioned before, either in East Duluth and West Duluth, so that we could set up distribution operations there. And I think we have been largely successful in responding to the need. Each year, we keep increasing the amount of food that we're distributing as the economies make it more and more difficult for persons. During COVID, we actually did increase the amount of food that we were distributing. We had developed a supermarket model, so folks could actually come to the food shelf and shop like if they were in a supermarket. It was free of cost. But because of the pandemic, we had to close that operation down, and so folks then we moved stuff outside, and they came through like a drive-through or walk-through and collected stuff. We hope to get back to that sometime soon. But in the meantime, we continue our distribution via the bus, which we will continue to do as well. But also, folks can walk in and get food as well.
And some of the other ministries?
I think we started originally in terms of the shelter operations, being able to have a drop-in shelter. So anyone can walk in at any time. It's 24-hour operated, and have a safe
That's
place.
the one that's
That's downstairs, safe from the elements. And we offer a breakfast every morning to folks who are here. The beauty about what we do, I think it was 3 years ago, we were able to lower the barriers. Shelters have different barriers, different requirements for folks, and we decided that we would offer the lowest barrier, and so persons can come here with pets. We have an interview process for pets. But we have seen an incredible variety of pets, but the chief requirement is that they have to be able to be around other human beings and other pets as well, and be able to get along, just as all humans should, right? We don't require sobriety. As long as you are able to not be of disturbance to someone else, you can get shelter here. Previously, that was required, but we operate with a behavior requirement now, so folks can get in. The other thing that we do is that we're able to offer, we have dorm rooms for males and females who are single, and they're able to get accommodation here, and they have an assigned bunk. And we are able to host up to 80 persons per night in those bunks.
Is that mostly full?
Oh yeah, we operate at or beyond capacity all the time, because that is part of the problem here in Duluth, that we are far beneath what is required. So that is the prime CHUM center shelter drop-in and sleeping bay that we operate. In terms of persons who are unhoused and unsheltered, during the winter months, we operate the warming center, which has gone through several iterations, but we started at the Rainbow Center here in Duluth when in the 1st of November, and we moved in January beginning of February, to the Lincoln Park Community Center. And so anyone who needs a place to stay during the coldest times of the year, from 6 p.m. can come to the warming center, and they can stay there until 8 in the morning. And we had a great team of volunteers and staff persons who were able to provide that much needed service to folks. And that is going to be ending on the 1st of April of this year. And to date, we have had just around 500 unique individuals come through to use the warming center. So these are persons who would have been camping outside in the woods or living under the freeway, etc., in places, I think how the government terms it, unfit for human habitation. All right. And so these are the persons living in the shadows, really. And we're glad to be able to offer them this warm space for them. The problem now is, where do they go after here? And then we're so, disappointed that we have not reached the point where we could provide something year-round for them. But we are working on a plan to be able to address that. And so that is the ministries in terms for folks who are unsheltered and those in shelter. The other thing that we do is to provide supportive housing, and that we do through the Steve O'Neill Apartments. We offer at that site 6 apartments for families experiencing homelessness. So we have an emergency family shelter there in the Steve O'Neill building. And so any family who falls into homelessness can get access to the family shelter. And then there are 44 other family units. And the purpose of that building, the program there, is to break the cycle of generational homelessness and family homelessness. And so,
because there's some education that...
Of course. We work with the children from tots up to age 4. So there's an early childhood education program. It's 5-star there, until the time that they're ready to go off basic school, etc. Our early childhood education operates, I think, 4 days a week for the first half of the day. Then we have family coaches in the building, and their job is to work with the parents to help them to stabilize. They too may have challenges of either substance abuse, chemical addiction. They may not have had a stable life. And so our response is trauma-informed. It's a harm reduction model. We try to make sure that we come alongside the parents, help them to access all the services that are available for them, to have financial security, to be able to develop educational goals, or if it is work is in the cards for them, to be able to allow them to do that. But also to build a good family life, or what it is to learn how to take care of your children, particularly children who have been exposed to trauma, whether it be a domestic violence situation or been exposed to so many other things. And so that building then is a safe haven for them, and they're there for as long as they need to be, until they develop the capacity to be on their own and to move out into regular society. And we were pretty much doing that. I think that started in 2014. And that was the only supportive housing solution that we had until last year, when we started the St. Francis Apartments, which used to be the downtown Duluth Inn. And CHUM had used that during COVID to provide housing to persons who were elderly, and were staying downstairs amidst everybody else, and we thought they were most vulnerable, but we needed to move them out. And so we were able to enter into arrangements where we could use the lower part of the downtown Duluth Inn. And eventually we moved to the point where we attracted sufficient funding and partnerships were established, and so we were able to purchase the entire downtown Duluth Inn. And so now we offer 43 apartments for adults who are elderly, 55 years and older, who have some sort of disability and have had a strong history of homelessness. And we've been working at it since last year. We now have 34 of those units occupied, and we are working our way up to 43. And we're working to not only provide just a space for folks to stay in, and it comes with, they have access to all the food from the food shelf. We have staff who are checking on them. We want to be able to build the programming now, to build community there, and to get their healthcare needs addressed, and to be able to build the partnerships with all the service providers, so that becomes a site for them to heal and to live out the rest of their years in some stability, dignity, and comfort.
And then I know you've got faith background, and even then just with CHUM, how does faith play out in all of the different ministries?
CHUM started when faith communities decided to come together to respond to the needs of the community, and that has continued throughout. We have over 40 different congregations who are strongly supportive of CHUM. For a large extent, that suffuses every aspect of our being, from how we see a fellow human being as someone who is created by God, and as such, and just because of that, then it is worthy of dignity and respect, and providing all the basic needs and giving them a chance over and over and over again, to make good and to try and fulfill their potential. And we have lots of volunteer opportunities, and so the various faith communities have members of the congregations who would participate in the activities and being involved in the life of CHUM. Of course, that took a break during the pandemic. We're hoping to get back to the point where that can start, but persons support CHUM and see it as part of their faith journey and their faith mission. Not only just being involved financially, but coming down, collecting blankets and tents, and or even preparing meals and coming and serving them. They're taking the children up from the Stephen Neal apartments. There are over 70 children there. We had one family who just organized for Santa Claus to come and to have music and to have a Christmas meal. We have other families who, from time to time, would provide with their friends or with a ministry in a congregation, will come once a week and do meals or sandwiches. Yeah.
Is there space in the building for some sort of kids activity?
There is a community room in the Stephen Neal apartments. The early childhood section also would cater for children of that age, and then we have an employee who focuses on after school activities for children. That takes place within the building, but also outside, as long as the weather allows. We take them out on field trips, etc. We have volunteers from the University of Duluth, the honors program, and they just recently donated $10,000 to us to purchase a vehicle. We want to be able to, in the summer, to take the kids out. So we're working on getting folks to contribute to that, to supplement that, so that we could get a vehicle in the summer for them. And so the youth activities will then move outside. We have another employee who's responsible for community affairs, and she is really into gardening. So there is a community garden at the apartment building and also in other locations across Duluth, and the residents and the children are involved in learning about where food comes from and what it takes to grow that, and being able to she then provides recipes to the parents, and they sometimes comes together, and she would do it via YouTube, and so they could learn, and they can compare, and they can taste and appreciate all the good things that come from the ground and the rain that is provided by the Creator. So the children have a wider range of activities, and we're looking forward to be able to expand that as we go along.
Share with us one of your favorite stories.
I look out my window every day and I see folks experiencing homelessness go about their way. Whenever we have distribution for a day for food, folks will come and they will collect their things, and what they don't want or they don't need, they will not take it. Instead, they would put it out on the sidewalk, and I remember seeing things out on the sidewalk and saying, they're littering, and frowning upon it. But then I saw people coming along and taking the stuff up. And by 4 o'clock in the afternoon, the sidewalk was clear, And that's what I've come to appreciate. I see from time to time the fact that they share. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They're in a crisis together, and they know what it is that needs to survive. And they will leave things for each other. And I see these little acts of kindness and care and concern being demonstrated, and that kind of makes it worth the while to do that, yeah.
How can Salem pray for you and for the ministry?
By doing it constantly. I really think it's the fuel that keeps us going, the prayers of the folks in the various congregations. There's a lot that we have to go through, a lot that we see and we deal with, and we understand that, but for the grace of God, we could be in the same situation as well. And we really appreciate the love and the prayers that are being offered up on our behalf. And we think that really enables us to do what we do. To be able to offer love and service to folks in their good moments and in their bad moments. That really requires enormous capacity, and our staff, we have throughout all almost 60 staff, and they're blessed to have the prayers of the faith community.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for your time and your ministry.
Thank you so much for the support. Really appreciate it.
No, and you're more than welcome to come and visit us and come in for a cup of coffee.
I would love to, because I don't get down to West Duluth. Is it West Duluth?
It is.
Okay, because I hear there's a separation here.
There is. And if you need me to carry your bags, if you go back to the Caribbean at some point, let me know. I'm your man.
You're my man. All right. Good. Look forward to that then.